Thanks for everyone joining us today to lead us off, our President, Dr. Neeli Bendapudi.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? What an exciting, exciting day for us as Cardinals. We've been waiting for this day, and I can tell you I could not be more enthusiastic about where we are today and what is to come. As you know, I'm always about expanding the Cardinal nation, and I do believe our very best days are still ahead of us. So today, my husband Venkat Bendapudi and I are delighted to welcome to the Cardinal family some newbies. I want to introduce to you Allie and Isaac and Bryce and Beth. And I believe they brought somebody with them. I mean, could we have a big round of applause for this Cardinal group? They're all in high school, which means they're absolutely right for me to recruit them to the University of Louisville. So that's why you're all here, I know, to cheer them on. And I know that they come with a family member that they love, and I know that we, as Cardinal fans and family, will love. And to do that introduction, I'd like to introduce my athletic director, your athletic director, someone who's worked so very hard on this process. I could not be prouder or more thankful today for Vince Tyra. So everybody, please have Vince come up here.
Thank you. I really appreciate the turnout. Obviously, it's a very exciting day for the university. It's an exciting day for our athletic program, and it's certainly a very exciting day for our football program. As Neeli said, it's been an exhaustive process. It has. It's maybe more my style than anything else. It certainly pooped me out, I will tell you that. As you can tell by my voice, and I think I can hear out of one ear and not the other at this point. So I'm not good when I get into these things and get driven about getting proper amount of sleep. And thankfully, we're at a point where closure, and I'm very, as I said, just excited. I know it's an easy hyperbolic word to use, but in fact it is true. So. You know, what's made the hire easier is we just, completed a UofL board meeting was just that. The faith and trust that I've had from our board of trustees, the UofL board, the university administration has been terrific. It really has been easy for me to go through that process, and I'm certainly thankful for my staff because I've been away from them quite a bit, and they've carried on and kept the leadership meetings going and kept the athletic department going, and that speaks volumes about the team that we have here. The support that I've personally received from the ACC and from John Swafford, our commissioner. He has stayed in touch with me on a regular basis. I've used him as one of my reference points in this process, and we developed a terrific relationship. I really cherish what I have with John and his leadership in the conference, but his friendship, and in this case, he's been great, and I know he's already reached out to Scott, I think either last night or this morning, to welcome him to the ACC, which is a class act. It's important also that the team that's here, and I see a lot of our team that's here today and some of the staff, just to get the trust from the current team and what we're doing means a lot. I've certainly had some difficult conversations with them and the staff over the last few weeks, but I know they deserve a great hire, and we're delivering that today. I'd say this in talking about the team, the season certainly didn't go as planned. And I think, I think we're all clear of that. My assessment of what it would take to get us back on track and get back to those Orange Bowls and Sugar Bowls and compete with Clemson and take them down to the wire and now get over that hump, I felt like needed a change of leadership. And while I have great respect for what Bobby accomplished at UofL, this felt like the right time to make a change and find a head coach that fits the needs of our program today and going forward. In any search that I've ever done, you have to be cautious about hiring the glitz and glamour of what's out there and maybe could be a short-term fix. And I think that even though some of that may have been on resumes I looked at, it was clear that I needed to find somebody that fit the criteria that I established. Because we certainly did have interest from others in Power 5 and NFL experience and so forth, but I'm comfortable we have the right man that's sitting behind me. In this case, the criteria is centered around an established leader, as our kids sometimes say, an alpha dog, a quarterback. And while Scott was a quarterback and a great leader during his time at Appalachian State as a player and then later a coach, he certainly has those natural instincts and leadership that we've all read about and I've got to know personally. The culture and the high culture integrity that he's brought to Appalachian State, he'll bring to the University of Louisville. That won't change. I'm comfortable with that. We've had long discussion, as references say so. The strong discipline that he has on and off the field is certainly one of the criteria that we needed. It's creating accountability, and I believe we have that as well in our discussions. Player development, where he is today and what they've accomplished at Appalachian State. They're not running the 4 stars that sometimes we're fortunate to have and all that. He's certainly dealing with players that they've developed them into better players, and they've certainly developed them into better men. And we've seen that in their academic progress with what he's brought into the program, how they've accomplished their high graduation rate and APR and so forth. But also in his last 2 recruiting classes being averaging a 3.5 GPA. We both believe that the effort in the classroom does parlay to the effort on the field. His ability to recruit, in our respective region, I think was one of the criteria. Establishing continuity of the players and the staff was something I was looking for. We've had some turnover in our staff. We've had some turnover in our players. We started this class with 21 that graduated 11. And I think it's important, if you have a program that's going to win year in, year out, you have to have continuity. And one of the amazing stats that I found with Scott and what he's accomplished this year, going 10-2 and winning the conference, and as most know, taking Penn State into overtime, and he'd probably like to have that another shot at that game. Should have been 11-2. Hurricane got in the way of another win. But he did that with the 3rd youngest team in FBS. And I think that says a lot for what he has and the leadership that he's brought with his staff as well, and that was certainly key to me. The winning background that he has is there, moving them from the FCS and the FBS and continuing to win. I think that allows us to do and accomplish our goals here, and that's compete for ACC championships and get into that college football playoff like we've been so close to do a couple times and would like to do. Fit with our community. I think his personality and his beliefs and his family sitting behind me fit within our community. You'll get to know them well because they'll be involved in our community. And I think the last point in the thinking about criteria is the excitement to be a Cardinal. And I've said that from day one when we started this search. I want someone to want us as bad as we want them. And that was clear from day one. I know there was competition for Scott in this process. At this point in his career, there were some openings that came available, and I was glad that we were able to position ourselves to stay in front of competition and land him here at the University of Louisville. He met all those expectations and those criteria that I talk about, and when you go into this, in my past as a chairman hiring C-level people, you've got to have criteria and stick to them. You can't get caught, as I say, in the glamour of the resume, and he has it. He's been a genuine leader who establishes and empowers leadership. It's a player-driven culture that he has, a player leadership-driven culture that happens inside the locker room, and the way he establishes that with the leaders, not just the captains, but a leadership in different areas inside that locker room. As I mentioned, he's a great family man, has high morals and integrity. I've got 4 witnesses, and Beth and Bryce and Isaac and Allie behind me that can speak to that. When it comes to student conduct issues, we discuss that. He has a culture of education as much as punishment. And I think in dealing with situations, I've got 5 kids between 15 and 23 and stuff happens. And I think I deal with it as an AD here, that stuff happens. And we talked a lot about that. I mean, I looked through a lot of analytics, including player arrest when I was going through this search, and not surprisingly, he performed well. Our discussion around discipline is one that really establishes accountability and is fair when holding them into those standards. So you got to establish what, as I always say, show you how you measure me, I'll show you how to perform. That's the way he goes about it, with their accountability on and off the field. Player development is geared around trust and respect. The reason the players he's brought into that system is because they do have a great deal of trust and respect with the coaching staff and with their leader, Coach Satterfield. He has shown the ability to recruit talent on the roster and his coaching staff, and I expect we'll see the same here. We've already had discussions about both of those topics, and I would think over the coming days we'll have a great game plan ready to finish out the recruiting season for the players and formulate a staff that will be competitive with anyone in college football. And I think he's a winner. As I talked about the criteria, he's definitely a winner. We've seen that. He's with what he's had. Feel free. I believe he can guide us through the ACC and then through the college football playoffs. And as I said, he wants to be here and wants to be a Cardinal, and that goes a long way. When considering what, I hear about, can this guy step up to the Power Five from the Group of Five, if you will? He's already stepped up. He had to take an FCS program to the FBS. He had to take it when the first year as a coach had been there for a long term, that the program was not going to proper trajectory, and stepped in, and the first year was 4-8, and then the next year started off at 1-5 and then won 7 in a row, and over the next 4 years has been in the top 5 in wins with over 40 wins. I think he's stepped up already, and he'll do it again here. The conference championship with the team I talked about, his great balance between offense and defense, which we talk about. I know we've been offensive focused, and I've talked about that. I love putting points on the board as much as anybody, and but when it comes to what he's done on the defensive side, Brian Brown is our D coordinator, ranked 4th overall in passing defense at FBS, and ranked 4th overall in defense, period. Top 25 in the red zone, which is important. And then on the offensive side, his scoring offenses, we ranked 17th this season, and the rushing attack was 14th in the country. So he's got a great balance of that running and passing that we like to have. And I think when I look at some of the teams he's had, particularly this one, it compares to many of you may remember the 2004 team that had a very similar attack in terms of run-pass ratio, and we had 4 future NFL running backs on that team. It was led by our local Stefan LaFleurs, not LaFleurs, at quarterback. And we accomplished a lot. We were averaging, I believe, 49.8 points a game during that time, and not that I'm putting that pressure on Scott, but it'd be nice. I knew he'd agree. It's his first day. But over the last 4 years, Appalachian State is ranked 16th in offense and 26th in defense, and I think there's been a good balance, and it's only been improving. And when you look at all the metrics that are available today, there's so much analytics available, third down conversions, efficiencies, and so forth. They kept sticking out, not just in the conference, but in the FBS. And so I happened to witness the game that I hate to bring it up, that he lost to Tennessee in overtime. And then obviously had a tough one, get away with Wake Forest where they missed some kicks, and then this year with Penn State. So he's competed with these teams well. That game at Penn State this year was at Penn State. Look, I could continue to wow you with the stats and a lot of analytics, but in talking to Scott and learning more about how he developed the Appalachian State program, it became clear he was our Louisville man. And this is what we needed, where the program is, and my ability to look at my own diagnosis and use the old belly, the old good old intuition. It just felt like I kept coming back to the same guy while we entertained a number of people in this process. So our next steps are to work hand in hand and finishing out this recruiting process and put together a staff, a great one at that, and tack it on to what we had last year and the year before. We've had great recruiting in here, and we've had a lot of players. However you want to look at it, fortunate, unfortunate, we had 16 true freshmen play a fair amount this year. And that's something that we got to think about as we bring in these future classes, how many should play and how many are really ready versus how many should redshirt, and we've had that discussion as well. But look, I think, to the fans that are here and showing up and the ones that aren't here today, I generally run our business here as one that has discussed, decided, support, as I've talked about before. And while I know you didn't get to participate in the discussion and the decision here, I certainly expect you to participate in the support. I've inherited an amazing stable of coaches and facilities for which to succeed, and I'm thankful for. And now we get to add one more to our stable here with the most recent ones in Holly April and Scott Teeter and Chris Mack. I'm proud of all those hires. I hope you are as well. But I'm equally proud to introduce our new head football coach, Scott Satterfield. He gets the ceremonial bat.
All right, man. Wow. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. This is awesome. I mean, it really is awesome. First of all, I just want to thank Dr. Neeli and man, in 5 minutes meeting her, I love her. She's awesome. You guys got a great leader right here in this university. I'm telling you, she's going to be fun to work with. And what it starts at the top. I have learned that in a long time, that you have to have great leadership at the top all the way down through to our football team and to all our other athletes here and other sports in this great university, which I've grown to love the success that all the other sports have had. I can't wait to meet these other coaches, share ideas, get with them and see what's made them successful here, and because that's what we want for our football program. And really it starts for me. It starts right here with this crew right here. These guys mentioned them, but my wife of 22 years, my 3 kids, great supporters of me just over the time that I've been coaching. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention my mom and dad, who's back in Hillsborough, Orange County, North Carolina, which is right there in ACC country, with some teams that we're going to have on our schedule that we'll be loving to beat one day here in the very, very future. And then I need to thank the school that I just left, Appalachian State University, where I spent 23 years as a player, assistant coach, head coach, and had great success there. Our players, to them, thank them. They're unbelievable. We talk about culture. They have it. I mean, that culture is incredible. Those guys, they play. We made it to the New Orleans Bowl this year, so they're going to be going to play in the New Orleans Bowl in a week and a half. They'll have no problem in that game because of the culture and what they stand for, and that's what we're going to build here. And to the fans back at App State who have been unbelievable to me, I appreciate their support and everything they did for me over the years. Incredible. I was a walk-on football player in 1991. I remember August 3rd, 1991, driving up the mountain in Boone, North Carolina. They didn't even know my name. The coaching staff didn't. And, and you just continue to work and build, and it's what dreams are made of. You earn a scholarship, then you're starting, and then my senior year, we go undefeated, 11-0 in the regular season. Incredible. Then I had an opportunity to go back and coach in 1998. Beth and I were married 2 years, and they said, well, we want you to come coach wide receivers, but we got $7,000 to pay you. And I was like, a month? And they was like, that's the year, the whole year. So $7,000. We have a mountain there at Appalachian State. It's Appalachian Ski Mountain. So I had to make snow in the wintertime. I couldn't even go recruiting. I had to make ends meet. Beth said, we'll give you 2 years with this deal right here. Otherwise, we're getting out of the coaching profession. Fortunately, I got full-time the next year. Continued to work my way up, and then became the head coach at App State, 6 great years there. And now here I am. It's what dreams are made of for me. And this is incredible. And it proves the point that if you work your tail off and have a great attitude every single day, that your dreams can be met and they will come true. Because I'm living that dream right now, University of Louisville. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Thank you guys. Appreciate that. I'm extremely honored to be the head coach here. And Vince, there was other schools out there. This is the job I wanted. I wanted to be here because of the success that this program has had. And, incredible success over the years. Heisman Trophy winners, NFL players that have moved on and they're doing great things. There's one for the Ravens right now that's taking that starting role. He's dominating right now. It's just fun to watch him play. Those are the kind of players we want to get in here. Man, I love meeting the team today. It's for the first time I got to meet that team. I'm so excited. I hate that they're going home right now for Christmas break. We're ready to get to work with these guys. And I told them, man, we're going to love on them. We want to love on these guys. We want to put our arm around them, and we're going to just pull them up and bring them to winning football games and championships, but it starts with our culture. And so that's what we're going to work on. The very first thing I told them was that, guys, you got to trust me, and I got to trust you. And that's the way our program's going to work. There's a couple of core values that we have. Number one is project positive energy. In this world we're living in, there's so much negativity out there, it drives you crazy. I mean, everybody's doubting you. Everybody's downing you. That fuels me. and it's going to fuel our football team, and we're going to pump each other up. We're going to hit them on the butt. We're going to say, let's go. When they're having a bad day, we're going to just put that positive energy in there, and it's just going to spread like wildfire within our culture in our locker room. The other thing that we're going to have is trust and respect that we've talked about already, and that's going to go from coach to player. The other thing that we talk about is the other 10. There's 11 guys on the football field, but I'm playing for the other 10. I'm not thinking about me. I'm thinking about the other 10. When you do that, we'll have a tremendous amount of success. We had 19 guys out of our starting offensive and defensive players last year make all conference, get recognized. 20. We had 20 guys. It's incredible because they're playing for each other. They love each other. That's what we're going to create here. So these guys will get big-time recognition when they start loving each other, caring for each other, playing for each other. You know, the other things that we're going to have here, the last core value is have fun. I want our guys to be able to come to that office all the time. I want them to be there. I want them to come in there. The same with our coaching staff. We're going to put together an outstanding coaching staff that will just be there every day. I mean, because we want to be there. It's not one of these deals where I've seen throughout the country where coaches, you know, go flip the light on when they can go home. Our guys are going to want to be there because they love it that much. Our players are going to want to be there. It's going to be that kind of culture where they can't wait to get back there because we're going to put some more work in. And we're going to do it day by day. We're going to stay in the moment. We're not thinking about, you know, next month. We're not thinking about next year, any of that kind of stuff. We're going to stay in the moment and do the best job we can do. I think when you stay in the moment and you do that and you take it day by day to be the best you can be the day, when you look back on it, you're going to be breaking records. You're going to be winning a lot of football games. So those are the kind of things that we're going to put together with this program. I want to get involved with this community. I want our community to get involved with us, the high school coaches, the region right here in Louisville. You know, come watch our practices. Our doors are open. All right, the closed doors no longer. We're going to open it up for these high school coaches to come in here. We have nothing to hide. We have nothing to hide. I want to feed off of them. They can feed off of us. And we're going to do this thing together. It's not going to be about me. It's not going to be about our coaches, our players. It's going to be about all of us, the fans, the players, the alumni. Everybody's got to be involved with this. That's how you win. When everybody's involved, that's how you win. It's not one person. It's everybody. You know, I'm just happy to be a face of a program because I'll be the head coach, but I don't want to be like that. It's not I. You're going to hear me say we a lot because it's we. It's all of us. It's all of us together. Cardinal Nation, that's how we're going to get this thing back on top. That's what we got to do, okay? So we're you know, here in the next few days, we'll put together a staff, an outstanding staff, to be able to get these recruits in here, the kind of players that we'll all be proud of. The student athletes, they're out there. They're out there. You know, sometimes it's real easy to go get a player, you know, marginal academics, but he's a great player. But there's also guys that have great GPAs that care about the academics that are also great players. And those guys tend to do great things on the football field. You know, you don't have the penalties that you don't necessarily need. You don't have those turnovers and those things that make mistakes. That's how you lose football games. So we're going to recruit the right kind of student athlete here to build this program up. So excited to do that. Man, I'm humble, man. This is awesome. I'm so fired up about being here. I can't wait to get started. My family as well. They'll be headed back to Boone, I think, but I'm staying here. We're getting the groundwork. We're going to start rolling. So I want to thank you guys for coming out. This is an awesome crowd right here. Really appreciate it. We'll open it up, I guess, to questions maybe.
Media, if you'll just raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. Remember to turn the microphone on and off after you're done with it. Thank you.
Coach, how tough a sell was it for the family? Was this something that, you know, a move that you thought might come at the end of this season? And for you know, I saw Bryce scoring 6 touchdowns a couple weeks ago.
We got some pretty good athletes here. Well, I think transition is always tough. You know, no matter what it is. And, you know, it's been tough for our players here. You know, they've had a lot of transition. You know, if we can create the continuity, I think that's what we want. I've done that in my career. You know, again, if you've been in one place for that long, that's continuity. And so that's what I want to do here. I want to create that same kind of environment, that same continuity. We want to have a coaching staff that wants to be here, that want to be here for a long time. And so, yeah, anytime it's changed, it's tough. It's hard. It's particularly hard on Mama right here. You know, she's got to do a lot of stuff. When I'm here coaching and all that, I got a lot of stuff going on. It's hard on these guys, but very supportive. You know, we've had a lot of success over the last 4 years, and there's been opportunities, and, you know, this is the right one. And so, we've talked about it as a family over the years, and it just so happens that this is the right one. The doors have opened up, and we're here.
Hi, Coach. Fred Callaghan with the CBS affiliate here in Louisville. Why this one? You say this was the right one because, you've been so invested where you've been.
That's right.
It must have taken something over the top to swing you here.
Well, I think with the leadership that we have on the university, that's number one. And I think you want somebody to believe in you, and he did. He's believing in me. I think that's huge. And that's all I needed was an opportunity, a chance back in 1991 to walk on a football team to prove what I have. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm ready to go prove the kind of staff we can put together and kind of team we're going to put on that field that everybody's going to be proud of. I think the footprint of where it's located, but what we're going to have to recruit in the Southeast, that's what we're familiar with, as opposed to going out west or Midwest or up north. This fits the footprint of what I'm very familiar with. I grew up in ACC country. I'm familiar with all the teams. I've visited a lot of the teams in the Carolinas over the years, just trying to learn more. So I'm very familiar with it. I just think all those reasons, and I think this university is poised to bust through some great things I think are going to be happening right here in this university. I think the things that we have in this stadium, the support we have, the ceiling is very, very high here, and I think we're going to get there.
Scott, how do you prioritize your next few days? Yeah. What is first in I guess, staff?
Well, it's been a whirlwind, to say the least. This time yesterday, I was in New York City. Got on a plane last night at 9:55, got back to Boone at 2:30 in the morning, met with my team this morning at 7:30, and now I'm up here today. So it's been not any sleep, quite honestly, zero sleep. So the next few days we'll be working on staff. We'll be talking about that, trying to get the right guys in here. We recognize where signing date is coming up here in a couple weeks, so we want to do that. And then we'll slowly build this staff out over the next few weeks. And I think for me, probably tomorrow, this evening tomorrow, we'll be getting with, just talking recruiting, looking at rosters and all that, and seeing exactly what the needs are, and then we'll get on the road, start recruiting.
How do you manage, because they do have a bowl game, if you bring guys, have you talked to Vince about that, about managing, if you want to bring a staff member with you?
Yeah. I think there's a couple of guys we'll probably bring immediately. And then, the rest of the staff will stay back and coach the game, and then we'll see where we're at after that and start building our staff out. The good thing about that is they play in a week and a half, so it's not like it's, a month from now. And then there's some other guys throughout the country that we'll be targeting, and, we'll see where that leads here the next few days.
After the game on Saturday, you said it's all about routine. You could say a day in March, a day in June, what we're going to do. Do you come in with that schedule, or does it depend on it?
Well, I think initially, the first year, I think because the calendar is a little different here, the way they have their school and the way they get out of school. But yeah, we want to get that. We want to get to where throughout the year, this is what we're doing. I think when you have routine, everybody loves routine. Our players love it. They know what to expect. Here's what we're going to do. And then that's where we got to in the probably last 4 years of that, was that routine. And the guys really bought into that. We want to get there. I've got to look at the calendar, and figure all that out. But yeah, we will definitely get to that routine, and the guys will feed off of that.
Coach, having spent over half your life at Appalachian State, I know you said you're looking forward and you're eager to get started here, but just how emotional was it to have that discussion with school officials and let them know that you were going?
It's very emotional for me because I knew everybody. I'm like one of the older tenured guys there. Our chancellor was there. I think she's been there the last 2 to 3 years. Our AD's been there 3 years. A lot of our board members, though, the board of trustee members, I know a lot of those people that had been there for years. And you're really just kind of ingrained with those guys, and you've been there through everything. So it's very emotional. I love those guys. They're awesome. They gave me a chance. They gave me an opportunity. Forever indebted in that. And but this is a great opportunity. It's an unbelievable opportunity to be able to come and coach at this kind of a university to compete for championships. I can't turn that down at this point in my career. This is what we've been shooting for. For 6 years of that, we've won 40 games in the last 4 years, and three straight conference championships. We've won 3 straight bowls. There'll be 4 bowls here in a week and a half. So what else can you accomplish there? I think maybe what comes into play. The only thing we didn't do was go to a New Year's Six bowl. you know, and I think that's for App, that's going to be very close. But, you know, I want to compete for national championships one day, and that's what we're going to be gunning for. And, you know, it starts with competing in the ACC, but it's going to start with us getting our staff together and our players headed in the right direction this all season. That's why I'm excited for that the most.
Hey, Coach, Dominique Gates with the Courier-Journal here in Louisville. What is your message to the fans? You mentioned getting out in the community, but what's your message to the fans just to reassure them that you are the right guy to coach this team?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you go back and look at the track record of what we've been able to accomplish. I mean, it's not like I haven't been a head coach, you know, and it's not like I hadn't faced adversity. You know, we talked about, you know, we started out 4-8. We're in the Southern Conference. We're not playing for anything, and that was extremely difficult. The next year, we're working on our culture at that point. The next year, we'll start out at 1-5. So me as a head coach, I'm 5-12, and I remember the story going to Troy. Some of you may have heard it. Beth went with me down to Troy. We're 1-5, and I said we took a walk down to the river, and I said, you know what? This head coaching thing's okay. We're 5-12. We may not be around here any much longer. Let's kind of enjoy this, you know. We went out that next day and we beat Troy, dominated the game, won our last 6 games. So our very first year in the Sun Belt as an FBS program, we go 7-5. We turned it around. And then the rest has been history after that. I mean, we've killed it. You know, I think there's 4 other programs that's better record than us in the last 4 years. Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, then Appalachian State. So that's pretty good company. And I think I mean, we're going to do it here. I mean, there's no question about it. And you got to believe. And that's been a big slogan of our program, and it's a daily process. We're going to get it done.
Scott, how much, when you were deciding if this was the right fit, the right job for you, did you analyze the current state of the program and how much work needs to be done?
Yeah, we recognize the fact that there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Usually, if you're going to look for a new head coach, there's probably some work to be done, and you know, so I do recognize that, but I also recognize the potential, and I think the potential outweighed the work that needed to be done. I think we have a great opportunity here. We got some hungry young men in that locker room right now. I mean, hungry, starving for discipline, starving for success, and like I told them today, they're going to have to trust. It's going to come down to that. You know, we're going to have to trust each other. And they're hungry for that, and I can't wait to get them back here.
I guess, Coach, as a follow-up, that was my question. As a follow-up, how much did you see Louisville this past season? And then what are maybe a couple things that stuck out to you that you need to address immediately with this team? Yeah, well, I mean, I think it starts with discipline. I think that's the first thing, and culture. That's the reason why we had success there at that. Before any of the wins, we worked on culture. That's what you have to work on. You have to get all that stuff straight first before you can start winning football games. That's what this all season is going to be about. This summer is going to be about. You know, when you get that stuff straight, then the wins will start coming. Now, I didn't watch many games last year. Obviously, I was trying to win some games last year, and but I did glance at scores. You know, and I saw scores that were extremely high, given up, and you know, So there's a lot of work to be done, obviously, offensively, defensively, kicking game. The thing I was most proud about our football team this past year at App was that we're solid in all 3 phases. If you go back and look, special teams, our block kicks, kick returns, and then defense, one of the best defenses in the country. And then obviously offense, we're solid in offense too with a first-year starting quarterback, with a very young football team. I think there's 19 starters coming back on that team next year that's going to win probably 11 games this year. But that's the culture that we have. That's what we'll create here. And again, we can't wait to get started with that.
Two-part question. One, are there players that you're recruiting at Appalachian State who might end up here, and do you have to recruit a different kind of athlete here than there?
Yeah, well, I think there's players that last year, in the beginning of this year's process of recruiting, there were several players that we were in on early. We had them on campus. We were in good with them, and then they started getting Power 5 offers. And so we still got great relationships with some of those players. So in the early process of recruiting, yes, we're going to tap back into some of those players that we feel like can come here and help compete for a championship. And then there's other players that are out there that we're going to tap into that we have relationships with that are looking forward to come visiting here within the next 2 weeks.
You mentioned Lamar Jackson. What did you know about Louisville. Were you on the FIU staff that came in here?
I was.
T.Y. Hilton on that Friday night?
Coordinator those 2 years.
So did that make an impact on you when you're going through this process?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, certainly. That's really the only time I've been here. And we had a great day that day. I mean, it wasn't good for Louisville, but it was good for us. But T.Y. Hilton was unbelievable. And we just got him the ball and let him work. And we ended up coming out with a big victory. That was a big win for us at the time at FIU. But while we were here, I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, I just looking around the stadium and being in the environment, it was a great environment. Everything that I've heard ever has been positive about this university, everything. And so you start hearing a lot of that, it just kind of gets inside of you, and, you really believe in it. And so I think this place is destined to be great. I really do.
Coach, you mentioned the we when it comes to this program. How big is patience going to be as you try to get things going and compete for these championships?
Is that for me?
Also could be for these guys.
Well, you have to have a sense of urgency. And you have to be patient. We do. It's not going to happen overnight. I mean, we all know that. It's not. You can't change a culture overnight. Usually, changing cultures take a year and a half to change that. We're going to work extremely hard on a daily basis to make that happen. And then what we're going to bring in here are going to be, culture changers as well. And